leaders that are here for us to brainstorm on this ministerial sectoral update, which is scheduled to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of this government. We all know that the renewed hope agenda gives a deep hope to Nigeria, providing a new perspective on life and inspiring all that we shall overcome all shocks. Today, we have in our midst the Chairman Subcommittee on Media and Publicity, who is the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation. Please, let's celebrate and welcome Alhaji Muhammad Idris, FNI PR. It's a thing of joy also to confirm that I have with me the presence of the Honorable Minister of the FCT and his team here with us this morning. Please let's welcome Barrister Ezenwo Nyesam Wike, CON. He is accompanied by the Honorable Minister of State for the FCT. Please celebrate and welcome Dr. Maria Mahmood. I'd like to also confirm that Dr. U.S. Atan, Head of Service of the FCT, is also here with us in the Minister's entourage. Please, you're welcome. May I also confirm that the Youth Development Ministry is represented by their spearhead, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jamila Pio Ibrahim. Please can we welcome her? And I'm also glad to confirm that the Honorable Minister of State for Youth Development is also accompanying her this morning. Please let's welcome Mr. Ayodele Olawande. Please can we put a hands together for him? And the Permanent Secretary also of that same ministry, Dr. Donuma Umar Ahmed, is also here with them. Please can we put a hands together to receive him? I'm glad to confirm that the Honorable Minister of Steel Development is here with us this morning. Please let's welcome Mr. Shaibu Abubakar Audu. Okay. He will join us soon. I'm glad to confirm that the Honorable Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Hennikin Lepobri, PhD, is here with us. Please can we celebrate him? May I confirm also that I have on my list the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Mr. Henry Dele Alake. Please can we put our hands together for him? All right. We'd like to thank all the permanent secretaries that are here. It's a thing of joy to confirm that we have in our midst the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning. Please let's welcome Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON. And I'm glad to also confirm that we have in our midst the Special Advisor to Mr. President on Policy and Coordination, Hachia Hadiza Bala. Please can we put our hands together for her? You're most welcome, ma'am. And I'm glad to also confirm that we have permanent secretaries from most of the ministries here present who may not be able to take all their names, but please let's celebrate all of them and put our hands together for all the permanent secretaries, all the Director Generals of all establishments here with us, and all directors from all these establishments. Please let's put our hands together for them. The choice of cabinet ministers is a clear commitment of the present administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, of the bold reforms to revive the nation's economy. It's been a year, and you'll agree the community have witnessed progress from these reforms. Our gathering this morning is to have a comprehensive assessment or an evaluation of performances from our cabinet ministers and providing transparency, accountability, and insight to what has been done, what is being done, and what will be done. To welcome us with warm words of affection to this gathering, I'll be inviting the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, who happens to be the Chairman Subcommittee on Media and Publicity. Please, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, help me to celebrate and welcome Alhaji Muhammad Idris, FNI PR, for his welcome remarks.
Thank you, the compere. First, let me begin by thanking the distinguished members of the press for not just accepting this invitation, but also honoring us with your presence today. It's a clear testimony of the kind of commitment that all of us have to have a better Nigeria. Thank you for coming. Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, the Honorable Minister for Youth, Dr. Jamila Bio Ibrahim, the Honorable Minister of State, FCT, Dr. Mariam, Honorable Minister of State, Youth, Dr. Adewande, my brother, the Honorable Minister of Petroleum, Minister of State Petroleum, distinguished Senator Heineken Lopobri, the special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, the special advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, Hajia Hadiza Bala Usman, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information and National Orientation, and other permanent secretaries here, special assistants, senior special assistants to the President. I'm seeing many of them here, Mr. Tunde Rahman, Mr. Tope Ajayi, very senior presidential aides that are also here, the heads of agencies here under the Ministry of Information and National Orientation and other ministries, especially the Ministry of FCT. It will be a very long protocol, so permit me to cut it so that I can have an abridged version of it. As I said earlier, we wish to thank you most sincerely for honoring this invitation to be at this event. And like I said, this is a clear testimony in the country that all of us have. We are here gathered today as part of the sectoral press briefings, the first, of course, of its kind that this administration has instituted, so that Nigerians will hear firsthand what the leaders are doing for them and have the opportunity to also interrogate some of those policies and programs that need to be carried. Recall that almost a year ago, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima were sworn into office. This administration came on the strength of the renewed hope agenda, which we have been implementing with unparalleled commitment and dedication from day one. As I noted in my remarks at an event recently, I have no doubt that life will get better for the people of Nigeria. We have already started laying the solid and enduring foundation over the last 12 months. Landmark initiatives like the Consumer Credit Corporation, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, the 200 billion naira Presidential Grant and Loan Scheme, our agriculture and food security efforts, including the launch of a dry season farming and massive fertilizer distribution, the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund, Renewed Hope Cities and Estates Program, our reform efforts in the electricity sector and in the area of taxes and fiscal policy, and the negotiation for a befitting new national minimum wage. All of this and many more are policies and programs that will directly touch and improve the lives and livelihoods of tens of millions of Nigerians. President Bola Tinubu is wholly committed to ensuring that we bring down the cost of living and doing business in Nigeria. We will put more money into the pockets of Nigerians, attract more local and foreign investment, transform the nation's infrastructure, among other things. And we will not pause or relent until we have delivered truly on the renewed hope promise to all Nigerians. The commemoration this month of the first anniversary of the administration, therefore, offers us a unique opportunity to present our scorecard to the Nigerian people, to tell the story of what we have done so far, and to fulfill our pledges and promises. We have here with us, like you have seen, ministers, about 6 of them today. All these ministers will present reports on the journey so far in the last 1 year. Of course, members of Nigerian media will have the opportunity, like I said, to interrogate these policies and programs. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Federal Minister of Information and National Orientation, which I oversee, has a mandate to manage and enhance the image and reputation of the people of Nigeria, and especially the government, through a dynamic public information system that facilitates access by citizens and the global community to credible and timely information. Our work at the ministry is guided by the following 5 priority areas in alignment with the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President. Pillar number 1 is to restore trust. We are determined to restore trust, confidence, and credibility to public communication by engaging in a timely, proactive, and consistent fashion with all our stakeholders across government, the media, the private sector, the international community, by deploying all available media platforms. Pillar number 2, which is closely tied to the first one, is to amplify policies and programs of government. We are highlighting and amplifying the policies and programs and achievements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration and the positive impact of these policies and programs in the lives of the Nigerian people. Within our focus to reorient our national values, we are implementing a series of comprehensive national campaigns to achieve a reorientation of attitudes, values, and ethics in Nigeria. At the heart of this reorientation is Nigeria's new national charter, which will be launched by Mr. President very soon. And number 4 is our attempt to modernize both technology and talent. We are doing this by upgrading the federal government's information and communication system and personnel, ensuring that they are relevant and fit for purpose for the 21st century. And the last one is that we are doing by ensuring that all those within the media industry and the information ecosystem, meaning journalists, publishers, proprietors, etc., have the best of the operating environment to do their job. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the sectoral press briefing that is taking off today is in line with the ministry's Restore Trust and Amplify Policies agenda. We have made efforts to ensure that this briefing series receive the widest possible coverage through traditional and digital platforms. I would like to again urge you, members of the press, to please report objectively and responsibly through the headlines and the narratives. You will, of course, have the opportunity, like I have said earlier, to examine most of these policies and programs. I thank you for joining us here today and for helping to make this inaugural edition of the Sectoral press briefing for this anniversary a resounding success. Thank you very much and God bless. But before I take my leave, we'll use this opportunity. If you look to the left of your screen, we'll use this opportunity to launch the Nigerian National Information Portal. Of course, it was in existence before, but it has been so badly managed. So the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation has resuscitated this new portal. It is the gateway to all the information that you require to know about this government, about Nigeria, about its people, and about our culture. So let me use this opportunity to please come down here to just launch this national communication portal for the records. This will be the gateway of all the things that you want to know, whether you are in Nigeria or overseas, about the government and people of Nigeria. So join me in clapping for Nigeria for having this relaunched new national information portal. Thank you very much for joining me in doing that. And let me just add that this is okay. Maybe we can play that later. Thank you. Let me say that this is a bumper edition of this sectoral briefing. Under the arrangement that we traditionally have, we take on one minister in each briefing. But because we are doing this to showcase what the administration has done in the last 1 year, we have decided to group these ministers across various platforms, reflecting the 8 priority areas of the administration. So ministers will have the opportunity to talk to you for between 20 and 30 minutes, and then you also have the opportunity to ask questions and to make observations or comments. Let me therefore invite the first person, the Honorable Minister of the FCT, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, to come and make his presentation.
Honorable Minister of Information, my dear colleagues, for other ministers that are here, eminent secretaries, head of service of the FCT, invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Let me thank the Honorable Minister of Information for this opportunity, for the Honorable Minister of State, FCT, and my humble self, and our team to briefly present to the public some of the things we have achieved since the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, as far as FCT is concerned. But permit me to say that 20-30 minutes will not be enough for FCT. I thought they would have given FCT, because we are not a ministry. We are not a ministry at all. FCT is like a state. And so it will take us a full day to present to you our achievement. However, we will try as what we can do and squeeze in. But I pray I do not go beyond the time allocated to us. Let me use the opportunity to thank His Excellency Mr. President for giving the Honorable Minister of State and my humble self the opportunity to participate in his administration of the Renewed Hope agenda. What is renewed hope? Have we lost hope? Have Nigerians abandoned hope? So, what are we trying to do to bring back the hope that Nigerians have lost, particularly as regards to FCT? Have the residents, those who stay in FCT, have they lost hope that there is no governance as far as FCT is concerned? Yes, before now, so many people have complained that they can't feel the impact of governance as far as FCT is concerned. So what we are going to say today is really the people feeling the impact of governance. Have we brought back hope to the residents of FCT? You will judge, not me, when we finish. First of all, the FCT administration was assigned presidential priorities 5 and 6 out of the 9 high impact deliverables. Were assigned 5 and 6. Priority 5 has to do with enhanced infrastructure and transportation as enablers of growth. And in this case, you talk about accelerate the execution of all ongoing projects, fast track the completion of various road and infrastructure projects, lit up Abuja and its satellite towns, reactivate and automate the road master scheme for Federal Capital Territory, construct and maintain satellite towns, roads, water, and other infrastructure. Priority 6 has to do with focus on education, health, and social investment as essential pillars of development. Hereunder, you have sustained high level of environmental sanitation in the Federal Capital Territory, enforce mandatory and free universal basic and senior secondary education, enforce prohibition of street trading, hawking in the Federal Capital City. Now these are the priority 5 and 6 in the 9 high-level impact deliverables. So what have we done? Have we delivered as told? Now let me start. Under the FCT, when we came, civil servants were not in a position to put in their best. Why? There was no hope for them to attain the peak of their career. You can imagine where you are working. You cannot grow. Every civil servant would want to attain the position of permanent secretary and then probably head of service. But before this administration came, they were stagnated only at director level. In fact, permanent secretary was posted from the Federal Civil Service to be in charge of the Federal Capital Territory. So when we came on board, we looked at the law that National Assembly passed in 2018, which was assented by the previous administration. And so we wrote to the president, and we told Mr. President, The essence of your renewed hope agenda is to give people that hope back. Today, these civil servants do not have hope again. Bring the hope back. How do you bring the hope back? Tell them they can rise from director to a permanent secretary, from permanent secretary to head of service. Mr. President approved the immediate implementation of that law. Today, we have FCT Civil Service Commission. Today, we have FCT Head of Service. Today, we have permanent secretaries, which has never happened since the history of the Federal Capital Territory. So this is what we'll talk about, the renewed hope agenda. So if you see every civil servant now who is a director, they have made a look, I may likely be promoted to permanent secretary. And if I'm promoted to a permanent secretary, I may likely be the next head of service. So as far as the structure is concerned, Mr. President have given them back that hope. And that's what we mean by the renewed hope agenda. Secondly, before now, one of the priorities of Mr. President is inclusivity. Inclusivity. Under the FCT, there's no provision for the women secretariat. There was nothing like that. Women were left alone. But under this administration, as part of his inclusivity, he said, no, that women's secretariat must be established. And that's why today we have mandate secretary for women secretariat, which has never happened before. All of us know that every ministry are all under the TSA. And we found out that one of the problems inhibiting infrastructural growth in FCT is being under the TSA. Because as you're under the TSA, you are not involved in the wider financial market. You are restricted. We can't even utilize our IGR the way it's supposed to be. Mr. President approved that we should pull out from the TSA. And today, we are not longer under the TSA. And I will tell you how this has helped us to do certain things people think is a miracle. It's not a miracle. Completion of ongoing projects. I hope the head of service, I hope that's planned to. Okay. No, I'm not going to read from that. So if you are looking at that, I'm not going to read from that. I have only 20 minutes. Now, let me take the issue of security. That is why you don't need to follow what is there. Let me take the issue of security, which is very, very important. Security is one of the priorities of this present government. How was Abuja before? All of us will attest to the fact. Every day one kidnapping or the other. Every day bandits have attacked. Every night one chance. So we came on board. What did we do? We said the first thing we must do is to make sure that residents, council areas, know what government is doing. And government should also be able to tell them what are their own contribution, what are the problems they face. We went to run the 6 area councils and had interactions with the people. And I said, look, you must be part of the security architecture. Government alone cannot fight insecurity. You too have a role to play. And what are the roles you play? We need intelligence. You must be part of what we're doing. And they said, look, we have agreed with you, but we have peculiar problems. This insecurity you are saying, these bandits attacking us, is because there are no roads at all. Even when they attack, the security agencies have no access. And I said, okay, what are these particular areas areas you think that these bandits are always using to attack. And each of the area councils said, look, if you can do this road and this road, these are where they take from the mountain they come in, I can tell you, it will reduce. I said, okay, if that's what you think, your own contribution, then go home and sleep. Mr. President has said whatever you request or whatever you think we should do, we should be able to make sure that you have it. As I speak to you today, all the area councils can attest the fact that before December this year, we are going to commission not less than 120 kilometers of roads in these 6 area councils. Now, what does it mean? People say government. What is government? When people don't have impact, people only hear about government on radio. People don't hear about government on television. Now, they are seeing government. They are saying, oh, you mean this is what they talk about government? Government can come to our area and speak to us and ask us our problems, and government tells us that they are going to do this and they are doing it. That is what they call government. It's not just merely announcing that, oh, the Minister of FCT on radio. Who is he? We don't know him. This is the first time a minister can go to the area councils and sit down with the people and talk with them and let them know what government is doing. We have been able to provide security agencies virtually every logistic required. In fact, this is my first time of doing it. There are specialized bikes that security men will use to chase all these criminals. I've never known that. And this government was able to provide all those specialized bikes. Before, even for security men to have their money, it takes time. If they want to go on operation, it will take them about 2 weeks before the money is released. But now, that is different. The moment they want to go for operation, the money is made available. We have provided logistics, vehicles, name them, to all the security agencies. You can now sleep with your 2 eyes closed. What used to be in Abuja before is not what is now. We cannot say that we have got it 100% right, and no society is free of crime. No society. No society. Let's have that at the back of our mind. But are they different? Have we made any difference? Certainly yes. You can attest to the fact that it is no longer what it used to be. We won't promise you that it will be 100%, but this government is doing everything humanly possible to see that we reduce the level of insecurity. Part of the measures we have taken, you can imagine Abuja as a city. You see all the roads, you don't even know which is a taxi. You don't even know which one is the official and the commercial bus. And that's why we entered into this one chance. But now, we have now started to build 3 terminals for FCT, 3 terminals, so that you know that if you want to board a bus, if you want to take a taxi, you go to social terminal, you know who is on, you know who's operating this bus. If on your own, you choose to be on the road and you see a vehicle, then that is your own risk. So building of these 3 terminals will reduce the level of kidnapping, one chance as the case may be. I don't understand how a city cannot have terminals. I've never seen that anywhere in the world. But by the grace of God, in the next 8 months, this city will have 3 bus and taxi terminals, and you must operate from those terminals. It is not promised. It is something that's going to happen. When we came on board, we looked at the entire roads. Everywhere, no contractors on site. What happened? We came down, we summoned the contractors. What are the problems? Our problems are that no funding. Why no funding? Well, the administration said there's no money. So I sat down with our team. And so what is important is not sitting down, awarding contract, yet no one is completed. Nobody does that. What you should do, say, look, for this period, how many projects are we going to take? And how many are we going to finish before we going to award new contracts? And that is why you can see today, yes, initially, we have been abused, that we have blocked all areas. All I say, look, don't worry, make the sacrifice. By the time you know it, the whole roads will be open, and which is going to be opened from May 27th to 9th or 6th of June. I said this, some of the contracts, some of these roads were awarded 2007, 2011, 2015, 2017, all abandoned. As I speak to you, no contractor, and for some of the contractors now come to lobby, give us job, we know that you will pay. We have been able to establish that confidence. We have been able to establish that confidence that contractors can now say, no, we want to go back to site. We know you will pay. Look at the government. 1 month ago, there was a job they were supposed to award at 7-point-something billion. Now what was provided in the budget of 2023 was 100 million for a job of 7-point-something billion. So when the satellite tank came to me to make a memo to go to ESCO, I said, for what? So the ESCO can approve. I said, okay, how much do you have there in the budget? 100 million for a job of 7 billion, which means ab initio, you don't want to do the job. Because when you have awarded a job of 7 billion, you give the contractor 100 million, which is not even up to 15% or 30% of what the law requires. I said, no, we will not do that procurement. I won't accept it. Leave it. This 2024, we have to put 4 billion in the budget of 2024. And then we took it to FEC, and FEC approved. So, a job of 7 billion, you have 4 billion provided, which is more than 50% of the sum, which means you have in mind to complete the job. So that by next year, you provide another 3 billion, the job has been completed. It's a simple thing. So, look at the Abuja Master Rail. Let me answer this. So many people have said that they have commissioned it before. We are not talking about commissioning of building. I'm talking about commissioning the commercial operation. We are not commissioning building. No. The building is there. Was it in use? Why was it not in use? There was no access road to all the stations, no access road. So how will you use it? If I stay in Itu, how do I have access to the station when there's no road to the station? If I stay in Kukuba, how do I have access to it when there's no road? So all those non-availability of access roads impeded the operation of the metro line. You remember in September last year, when the president was declaring open the annual bar conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, the president said, the chief host, I want to ride on the metro line. I don't want land. I want to ride on the metro line. To the glory of God, on Monday, 27, Mr. President will ride on that metro line. So all the access roads have been done. In fact, the last administration awarded $128 million for 29 months for the CCECC to train our people for the operation of that metro line. $128 million US. training that you take $128 million US. They say, but the Federal Executive Council has approved. I say, yes, I agree. But now that I've discovered that there's something that is wrong here, I will not accept that. As I speak to you, we have reduced it to $75 million. From 128, saving us $53 million US. So when Mr. President rise on Monday, you take your own turn on Tuesday. It is for you. It's not for Mr. President. It's for you. So that now, you don't need, okay, if you are going to the stadium to watch match, and you stay in the rural areas, you don't need to bring your vehicle. All you need, enter a train from whichever station, whether in Itu or whether in Kukuba, whichever where. You take the train down to the stadium. There was a train station there. You stop there, trek, and enter the stadium. Even the match finishes by 10 p.m. You come out from the stadium, enter the train station, and go back. There are car parks in every station. There are car parks. You carry a car, you go there, enter the train. That is the way business is supposed to be. It is renewed hope agenda. So most of you are saying that they have commissioned it. Please don't make a mistake. What was commissioned was the building. And we are not commissioning building. What we are trying to do, we want to start commercial operation. So if you are going to the airport, from here to airport, it's 20 minutes. It takes you down to the airport. Seeing is believing, is it not? That is practicable. Just go on Tuesday. Monday will be tough for you. You know, I will not tell you lies. So don't come on Monday. And we are going to allow for free ride for 2 months. 2 months. And you know, Mr. President, he can even say extend it to 6 months. Just to reduce the pains of our people. That is renewed hope agenda. When you say something, you do it. Is it not correct? That is what we call renewed hope agenda. When we came, look at all the, when people say Abuja is a city, I ask myself, what makes it a city? No good roads. What makes it a city? No light. I said no. I called the FCT, come. What's your work here? Tell me, what is your work? Look at the whole street. You can't have a good road to say it's a city. I said no. I said, I don't know what you're doing. I want to see the paper on my table the next 1 week. Every street in Matama, Garaki, have to rehabilitate them. Today you can attest to the fact that most of the roads have been rehabilitated. Yes, even though there was some inconvenience, but that is part of your own sacrifice. To enjoy something good, you have to work, is it not? That was done. You know this Sectoral junction before, is it not? You know it. How is it now? AYA. How is it now? How is it? Look, they awarded the contract to rehabilitate National Assembly. For how many years? As we came, we finished it. National Assembly is now using it properly. They awarded to rehabilitate the first phase of the Federal Secretariat to Johannesburg. It was abandoned. We came. We have finished that first phase rehabilitation of the Federal Secretariat. The presidential residence, the VP's presidential residence, was awarded in 2010. 2010, a whole Nigerian VP's residence, 2010. We are now 2014, correct? 24. How many years? Some of you don't know mathematics. How many years? 14 years. 14 years. You see what I told you? 14 years. But now, just 1 year of Mr. President, the VP will enter a very brand new house as request of the Vice President of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Look at the education. As I speak to you, over 19 schools have been rehabilitated as I speak to you now. Over 19 schools. Sometimes when you go to our schools here in the city, you cry. I'm not talking about the ones in the rural areas. That's not what I'm talking about. Just look at the city alone. So when people come to the city and they see the kind of school, it tells them too what will be happening at the rural area. So give the facelift here. At the same time, we're also doing at the satellite towns. From 27th to 6th of June is Abuja Week of commissioning of projects. By this time, next year, you can tell any city in the world we can compete with you in terms of road network. Don't worry, some of you who have been looking for land, there are plenty of land and now we are opening up everywhere. So, Mr. Chairman, you know, I told you not to invite me and because part of, you know, we obey rules. That's part of this administration. Now that the order has come, people are not happy with you. I sincerely thank all of you. I wish that we'll have more time to be able to showcase what we have done. Thank you and God bless you.
You will all agree with me that the Honorable Minister is a man of courage and outstanding achiever. Please, once again, can we put our hands together for him? We had agreed that we're going to ask few questions, but I've been told by the School of Wisdom that we will take only 3 people asking questions. So you indicate and want you to please ask your questions straightforward. If you have further advice for the minister, definitely you have to see him in the office. But if you have questions that you require answers, I would definitely want you to ask your questions. I am not here alone today anchoring this program, but I have another gentleman standing by to also take over. He is Kevin Odige from the ministry here. Please, can we put our hands together for Kevin Odige? May I quickly introduce the special advisor to Mr. President on Media, Mr. Tope Ajayi. Please, can we welcome him? You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Okay.
Good afternoon, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, the highly elevated high table, I greet you. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we'll just take 3 questions for the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, after which we'll move to the next presentation by the Minister of Youth Development. So by a show of hands, 1, 2. All right, so to make it fair for us, like the Honorable Minister, we'll take it 1 from here, 1 from here, and 1 from here. So, Mr. Sonny Daniel, 2, the lady there, and 3. Thank you very much. Please.
They have mentioned my name. Good afternoon. My name is Sonny Daniel. I work with Vanguard newspapers. Honorable Minister of the FCT, well done for the transformation you have brought to the FCT. But let me take you to 2 areas only because of time. You have done well in the provision of infrastructure, and we have arrested the rots in the city. But 2 areas appear to have eluded you. 1, Gwarimpa, the biggest city in this town, or even in Africa. It has been consistently turned into a slum because we understand that the FHA is contesting that the FCTA does not have oversight function over Gwarimpa. All the houses, almost all the houses, have been turned into shopping malls. Even those that were bungalows have been turned to high-rise buildings. And nothing is happening from your end. Is it that you have given up on arresting the rot in Gwarimpa? And finally, since you are interested in ensuring that the city is stabilized, crime is reduced, people are not harassed unnecessarily, why is it impossible to ensure that citizens are not harassed by touts who pose as agents of the AMAC or area councils? Because many times you see fights ensuing between these touts who claim to be either security agents or revenue agents, harassing people, including foreigners, which is very shameful. What are you going to do about this situation? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Number 2, the lady there.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, colleagues, I am Princess Ekwi Ajide of the Anambra Broadcasting Service. Minister, sir, thank you so much for the miracle you've been performing in the FCT. But sir, I want to bring to your knowledge, or rather I should say during your presentation, you said the satellite cities are also in your line of responsibility. I happen to live in one of the satellite cities, Jikoi, and it is not getting all this. So when are you going to come to Jikoi? Because we also need the miracle. And 2, yes, okay, satellite towns. I'm just talking about my own area. And another thing, sir.
Can we settle down, please? Please.
All these miracles you've been performing, do you have a strategy that it doesn't end just like that, that continues? Because we want to, I'm talking about sustainability here, because we want it to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And the 3rd person is here. The one behind. The one behind. Thank you. Sir, hello, sir. He's the one, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, honorable ministers. My name is Teso Zambe, and I report for Radio Nigeria. Honorable Minister of FCT, I must congratulate you on your achievements in the FCT. And having watched what you have done in the FCT, there is this fear in me, having watched events in the country, the sustainability of this legacy project. What is the plan to ensure that these projects remain? That is one. Secondly, sir, housing in the FCT seems to be the exclusive preserve for the rich people. How can average Abuja residents access housing in the FCT? Lastly, what is the place of the indigenous people of FCT in your administration?
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, sir, you may wish to respond.
Thank you very much. Let me start with my friend Sonny Daniels, Vanguard. You talked about Guarimpa. And in saying that, you try to answer the question by yourself, that there appears to be a tussle between the Fair Housing Authority and FCT. There's no tussle. FCT gave out the land to Federal Housing Authority. So all those houses are under the Federal Housing Authority. However, we have the oversight function of making sure that developments are in tandem with the master plan of FCT. And so it is in that as I came on board, we set up a committee. All those that have distorted the master plans, that for example, if you are supposed to build for residential purpose and you convert it to commercial purpose, then you have to bring it down or you lose the certificate. But I will also say, and I want to say it here, you are one of those who send me texts that I should take it easy. That you see, that I should take it easy. That you see, Abuja is not like it. You see, in Nigeria, so many people are afraid of taking decision. So many people are afraid of stepping on toes. You can't be a leader without stepping on toes. You can't. You can't. And if you wait for when everybody would think that they are happy, then you are telling lies. What is important is in your conscience, are you doing the right thing or not? We have told the development control, and that's one area we have the problem as far as FCT is concerned, development control. You need to hit the hammer hard for them to follow rules. So we'll come to that. And how many months have we been in office? 9 months. Remember, it's just 9 months. And we cannot solve the entire problem at the same time. We are doing roads. We are doing constructing roads in Guarimpa. We are doing that. That's to tell you, we have not forgotten Guarimpa. If that's where you live, don't worry, your turn will come. Harassment by touts. Because of revenue collection and some other, we have now called AMAG. We have sat down with AMAG. Look, the only way we'll allow decency is that we have to sit with them, form a committee, have an account where the revenue comes to FCT and you collect your own share. In that way, we'll reduce touting, we'll reduce harassment, and this double taxation. And they have agreed. And I said, look, after all, the law allows you 10% of our IGR. The law allows you to take 10% of it. So why are you afraid? So allow FCT to do it so that we begin to avoid double taxation and harassment by touts. One of the things you know in the city too, you know, everybody wants to survive. Everybody think that if I don't come to the city, I will not survive. So you find some of these elements from time to time. But bear it in mind, it is part of our responsibility that we are going to read them off. But it cannot just be immediately. There are so many things in our hand. Take for example, street light. Today, you put street light. Tomorrow night, it's no longer there. What happens? They vandalize. They go and cut off the cables. That is Nigeria. You arrest them. You go and prosecute them. What does the law say? On conviction, 10,000 naira. So they will continue. And we have told the National Assembly, you must come to our aid by amending and reviewing the law to make it very tough, so that if you are caught, there's no option of fine, or even if there's an option of fine, the money will be too high in order for you not to repeat what you've done. Can you imagine where you go and cut the cable very expensive, and most of the contractors who supply these cables, they sell it back to them. These are criminals everywhere. So we are taking care of all this. My sister talk about satellite time. I'm happy. You are saying, when will the miracle reach your own area? Continue praying. You see, prayer is the key. Now that we have gone closer to our own neighbors, you are seeing it, and the miracle hasn't come. Have the hope it will come. I can assure you, and let me tell people this, even if I'm minister for 200 years here, I can't solve the whole problem. Right? So as you come, you contribute your own to the best of your knowledge. Then when another person comes, he continues from where you stop. After all, government is a continuum. And that's why Mr. President said, look, all these projects littered everywhere, you cannot go and begin to initiate new projects. See how you can complete all these ones, and then you move on to the new projects. So I can assure you, pray that the council areas will nominate here, because I don't sit here to go and nominate the roads in the satellite time to construct. No, I allow the stakeholders to say which is the important road you want, that you think that's so important in this area council. But once they nominate, then we go and do the construction. So as I sit here, I don't even know, but since you're my sister, I'll do fasting for you, and God will touch my mind. You talk about sustainability. Take for example, all these roads we are doing, how do we make sure it's being sustained? Look at the manholes. Every midnight, they go and remove the manholes. So what have we done? We have brought out another strategy now, where the manhole will no longer be attractive to them. Yes, FCT, where is it? What we have adopted now? Come and take. I know you want to be a minister. Come and take.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the manholes and gully pot covers that had been in use is the cast iron cover. This has economic value, and the vendors easily take it and sell it. What we are now introducing, what we have introduced, in fact, on most of our roads are now this composite material, which has, to our own established this thing with all the characteristics of its strength and drainability. It has no any economic value, and we are hoping that this will, of course, we are also introducing locks along with it, so that they cannot easily be picked. It will delay the time, and we are almost sure that even when you take it there, because we are embossing our names, that is FCT names on the facilities. That is the position. Thank you.
I just wanted him to make some clarification on that. The last person talked about indigenous people. You must give, I'm coming, you must give this administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu the credit to identify what the last person said, indigenous. I want every Abuja person to hear this. Since the establishment of the FCT territory in 1976, administration that the indigenous people have been identified and given relevance in the administration of FCT. For the first time, you have a mandate secretary. You have never had it. The mandate secretary of the area council is from Abuja. For the first time, you have a permanent secretary who's also from Abuja. Then, for the first time, you have a cabinet minister from Abuja. So when you say indigenous, all these are indigenous. Before you didn't have one. To the glory of God, you have three. Which means we have started something. So give credit to this administration. Housing. You know, one of the most difficult problems in this FCT is about land. You know that? Do you know that? Where corruption is in the land department. As I speak to you, as a minister, it's one area that I've been battling. But I will defeat them. Because even to make land affordable for people to build houses, which is what we're supposed to do, most of this land, one encumbrance or the other. Why? Double allocation. And this double allocation is by those in the land department and the ages. And so it makes it difficult. Now, for Mr. President, in our next budget, we want to build the New Hope City. And this is for affordable houses, not for the big men now. As he said, not for the big men. We are going to build affordable houses to the tune of about 10,000 houses for our people. I plead, and I know that Mr. President will approve, that to allocate it to people who cannot afford to build. We are going to provide infrastructure and then build for them and allocate to the poor ones. Well, you will not determine and define who is poor in the right sense. So that we have that in our mind to build 10,000 houses, what we call the New Hope City. So that has to do with housing. And we are willing this time around. Now ask, somebody says he wants to build 20,000 houses and he wants 300 hectares of land. Then you give him the 300 hectares of land. He does not build the houses. He starts allocating the land to people selling, making money. That's okay. Why did we give you the land then? We can't sell land directly. Now you go, it's okay, we can't allow this. It is fraud. Stop. Then the person brings politics. Because I'm from the east. Because I'm from the west. Because I'm from the north. You will not ask, why did the FCT stop this? You know, in Nigeria, two things, ethnicity and religion. Once you are doing the right thing, if they don't use religion, they use ethnicity. So, but we are equal to the tax. Just be convinced means that we have the political will to implement and do what is right. Thank you, and God bless you.
Spoken like the true landlord of the FCT. Please, a round of applause for the Honorable Minister. For the want of time, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we'll move to the next presentation. Just to state for the record that this presentation is to be taken for 20 minutes to allow for other presentations to go on. With that being said, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to introduce at this time the Honorable Minister of Youth Development, Dr. Jamila Bio Ibrahim. A round of applause for her, please. Please, can we, in an orderly fashion, this is a live program.
Ladies and gentlemen, please get seated. It is only the Minister of the FCT that has taken his leave. Other ministers are still here and will continue the program, and others will also join us as we progress. So please take your seat as we listen to the Honorable Minister of Youth. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to honorable ministers here present, special advisors to Mr. President, the senior special assistants to the President, our top management staff of the ministry, the permanent secretaries here present. I'm here to present the ministerial sectoral update of the Federal Ministry of Youth Development on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Youth Development, my brother, the Honorable Minister of State, Youth Development, Honorable Ayodele Olawande, and my humble self, the Minister of Youth Development. Well, unlike the FCT, we are not a state. However, we are saddled with the responsibility, a very important responsibility that we're saddled with a mandate that makes us responsible for ensuring the prosperity of young people in this country and to also guarantee the collective destiny of our country, Nigeria. So help us God. We're also grateful to His Excellency, Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for giving us this responsibility. On that note, I'd like to take us a little behind, back to memory lane, precisely on the 1st of March, 2023. His Excellency, Mr. President, said to Nigerians when he went to receive his certificate of return from INEC. His Excellency, President Tinubu spoke on how his incoming administration will address issues concerning young Nigerians at 2 events in Abuja. And he said, "Now to you, the young people of this country, I hear you loud and clear." Well, the mandate of the Federal Ministry of Youth Development is a testament to Mr. President's commitment to that statement. Responsibility is for policy formulation and development and implementation and monitoring, evaluation of programs on youth development towards wealth creation, youth empowerment, well-being, and achieving overall excellence, national unity, and sustainable development. Well,
The Federal Ministry of Youth Development's mandate Our mission as a ministry, our expectations are clear, even though very ambitious. We aim to create an enabling environment for young people to thrive in various sectors that foster entrepreneurship, provide access to capital and resources to enhance skills development, and to ensure the holistic development of young people. We are committed to bridging the gap between potential and opportunity, ensuring that every young Nigerian has tools and support needed to succeed. We are assigned 11 deliverables within specific presidential priorities. Priority 3, which speaks to economic growth and job creation. Priority 4 speaks to access to capital. And priority 5, speaking to inclusivity and drawing on all skills base. Well, our presidential deliverables are to establish public-private partnership frameworks that enables the creation and expansion of multiple MSME incubators, accelerators, and innovation centers in 6 geopolitical zones with a specific focus on engaging and empowering young people. We also have assigned deliverables to catalyze entrepreneurship endeavors with youth at the core of job creation and economic development. To also provide incentives to companies to provide entrepreneur internship programs and identify and implement priority programs from the National Youth Development Policy, to establish a database management system to track youth development programs. And of course, the access to capital, which is priority 4, the deliverable under that is to facilitate the enactment of a bill to establish a youth bank. Then drawing on all skill-based deliverables are to rehabilitate all existing youth development centers with youth-friendly recreational facilities, and to strengthen the current efforts by the NYC in empowering young people through agriculture, vocational skills, technology, and social inclusion. To deploy and operationalize enterprise content management system and initiate and implement quarterly citizens and stakeholders engagement sessions to communicate government activities and serve as a feedback mechanism. Also to initiate and implement quarterly citizens and stakeholders engagement sessions to communicate government activities and to serve as feedback mechanism. I believe I already said that. Well, 6 months down the line, we have achieved the following deliverables. We have recorded some progress in the following deliverables. 1, to catalyze entrepreneurship with youth at the core of job creation and economic development. Well, towards the end of March, March of 2024, this year, the Federal Executive Council approved the restructuring of the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund with a fund of 110 billion capital to startups and early growth stage businesses through the restructured NYIF. The Youth Investment Fund, we're all aware, is an initiative of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. However, government is continuing, and we also understand that we did an evaluation of the Youth Investment Fund, and we realized it's a laudable initiative, and we're not here to reinvent the wheel. So we saw a need to institutionalize the fund through an act of parliament, the Nigerian Youth Fund, the National Youth Fund, to be established, and the Federal Executive Council has also approved the development of an executive bill to that effect, So the initial 2024 appropriation is 110 billion for immediate release, and in the coming weeks, disbursements will recommence. But as having successfully restructured and expanded the Youth Investment Fund with an approved budget of 110 billion for the 2024 fiscal year, coupled with the approval, now we decided beyond institutionalizing the NUF, we'll build on it to ensure that it is sustainable. So the Council has also approved the establishment of the Presidential Initiative for Youth Enterprise Clusters. Reason being that the cluster initiatives has proven to be successful when you're empowering people and with high impact, and then it also has proven to translate to easier recovery of these funds that were disbursed. Well, we're on track for maximum impact with the Youth Investment Fund this year. And there's also the Presidential Initiative for the Establishment of Youth Enterprise Clusters. We have identified the first 6 clusters to be started this year, which we will activate in the coming weeks. And these clusters will empower 50,000 entrepreneurs, creating up to 500,000 direct jobs and over 2 million indirect engagements for young Nigerians. The second deliverable is the Youth Development Bank. In partnership with the Bank of Industry, we're setting up a next generation bank next gen bank to nurture young entrepreneurs with loans and business support to bridge, the gaps of access to capital for young people. I remember when I was much younger trying to access funds from commercial banks. They asked me to bring my grandmother, my grandfather, and all those, funny requirements. So the purpose of establishing this bank, which was a campaign promise of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is to bridge those gaps in access to funds. Well, this bank is a specialized financial institution which aims to support youth-led initiatives in strategic sectors, providing vital financial services with an initial government investment of 5 billion naira, matched by contributions from the Bank of Industry and private sector partners. So the third is, I already mentioned the third deliverable, the enterprise clusters, which has been approved. So the second deliverable is to strengthen NYSC to empower young people in agriculture, vocational skills, technology, and social inclusion. So the NYSC reforms are commenced, which is robust, and it includes skills building to better position the NYSC. So a committee has been established to drive comprehensive reforms within the National Youth Service Corps, focusing on skills development, entrepreneurship. This reform will transform the NYSC into a more impactful and economically beneficial program for our young graduates. And the skills development program, the National Youth Skills Program, we have initiated to train 300,000 NYSC Corps members and 700,000 young people outside the NYSC scheme, because we have young people in the informal sector, we have the high-risk young people who are neither educated nor skilled. And if we address the challenges of this proportion of the youth demography, we'll be going a long way to address challenges that our country is faced with today, such as insecurity. So this will serve as the administration's non-kinetic approach to solving insecurity challenges. And the youth quota, the third deliverable is identify and implement priority programs from the National Youth Policy. So the youth quota implementation, the Federal Executive Council has approved a 30% youth quota under the visionary leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. GCFR. The importance of youth representation has been firmly acknowledged, recognizing young people's crucial role in shaping a brighter future. The Federal Executive Council's approval to implement a minimum of 30% youth quota in all government appointments across all levels of government underscores our commitment to equitable representation and active youth participation in decision-making processes. The national youth policy, we're in the process of reviewing it because it's outdated. We're reviewing it and expanding the scope of the national youth policy to include climate action, blue economy, mental health and migration challenges. And the last deliverable is to rehabilitate existing youth development centers in all 6 geopolitical zones with youth-friendly recreational facilities. The youth development centers are being identified, and commencement of rehabilitation nationwide will be in earnest. Well, the Citizenship and Leadership Center is also undergoing reforms, being the second parastatal under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Youth Development, aside the NYSC. We're also driving reforms in the CLTC to enhance leadership training and citizenship education, ensuring that our youth are well prepared to take on leadership roles and contribute to national development. The Young Leaders Institute is also another milestone that we hope to achieve, and this institute will nurture the next generation of Nigerian leaders, and it will be implemented alongside the 30% youth quota for inclusion in governance, because it's not enough to create more spaces, more seats for young people at decision-making tables. It is also important that we prepare ourselves for leaders to take on those leadership positions going forward. So this institute will nurture the next generation of Nigerian leaders, providing them with the skills, knowledge, and the network needed to excel in various fields. Well, while I have exhausted the deliverables and how much progress we've made addressing those, towards achieving the deliverables, our plans and the pipeline will be going forward. Going forward, looking ahead, our plans are ambitious, like I said earlier, yet achievable. So we will continue the disbursement of the Youth Investment Fund to support more youth entrepreneurs, operationalize the Next Gen Bank by August 2024 to provide tailored financial services to youth-led ventures, and implement NYC reforms to integrate skills development and entrepreneurship in the service year. To scale up the National Youth Skills Program to train more young Nigerians across all geopolitical zones, taking the levels of proficiency into consideration. To provide further reforms in the CLTC. And, I've actually already stated those in the deliverables and the journey thus far. So in conclusion, our journey over the past years have been remarkable. Over the past year has been marked by significant achievements and commitment to youth development. As we celebrate our first anniversary under the leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I reaffirm our dedication to empowering Nigerian youth, fostering economic growth, and wielding a more prosperous and inclusive nation. We're grateful for the support and collaboration of all the stakeholders, and we look forward to achieving even greater milestones in the years ahead. I thank you very much, and I am here to take questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamila Bio Ibrahim, the Honorable Minister of Youth Development, for an insightful presentation, showing us what you're doing for the youth of this nation, who we consider leaders of tomorrow, but partners of today. May I announce a slight adjustment in the proceedings of our gathering here today. We will be taking questions, but the answers will come much more later when other presenters have done their presentation. We just want to avoid a situation where after the questions people leave, so that we have everybody to hear exactly this scorecard of all these honorable ministers are reading for us today. May I announce that we have in our midst the Honorable Minister of Steel Development, Prince Shoaib Abubakar Audu. Please can we receive him with an applause. Thank you very much. With that, I would like to invite him to come over to the podium and present his scorecard for us to assess his achievements for the past 1 year. Please let's welcome Prince Shoaib Abubakar Audu once again to the
Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter, for the introduction. Let me start by acknowledging my colleagues, all the honorable ministers, here present, led by the Honorable Minister of Information, as well as the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, all the special advisors here present, distinguished members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today, I'm here to speak on our achievements and what we have done under the Ministry of Steel Development, based on the mandate by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I will summarize, for want of time, my presentation into 3 parts. One, I will talk about the mandate of Mr. President. 2, I will talk about what we have achieved. And 3, I would also briefly talk about what is left for us to do ahead. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave a mandate to the Ministry of Steel Development following the creation of the ministry in August 2023. And the mandates are in 2 parts, 2 major parts. One is the revival of the Ajokuta Steel Complex and the National Iron Ore Mining Company, which I would summarize as NIOMCO. And then secondly is the revival of the entire steel industry. This is very, very critical to the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President, whose desire is to grow the economy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to over $1 trillion by the end of the first term of this administration, thereby making us a G20 economy. Getting to $1 trillion is a big task, but very, very much achievable, as Mr. President has said. And the steel sector will play an important role in ensuring that this administration achieves that. So that is the mandate for the Ministry of Steel Development. What have we done so far in terms of our achievements for the revival of the Ajokuta Steel Complex as well as NIOMCO? Those government assets were built in 1979, so this makes it 45 years since the creation and the construction of those major national government assets. And now, for most of those 45 years, those assets have been comatose. By the end of 1983, at the end of the Shehu Shagari administration, which originally built the plants and the complexes in 1979, the plant was around 98% complete. But since then, nothing has been done pretty much by the federal government over those years, more than 40 years. They've tried to do, successive administrations have tried to do so many things which has not achieved the desired results. But Mr. President is not deterred and has asked us that while we are trying to resolve the broader issue of Ajokuta, we should also address the low-hanging fruits and resolve the things that can be done in the immediate term. So we have started to put some very, very concrete and imminent measures in place to achieve that. The first thing that we have done to achieve that is we have obtained presidential approval from Mr. President himself to raise private capital to restart the light section mill of the Ajokuta steel plant. We are at the final stages of raising about 35 or over 35 billion naira from a local financial institution, which is around $25 million, to be able to restart the light section mill of the complex so that we can produce iron rods. That light section mill has a capacity to produce up to 400,000 metric tons of iron rods per annum. Now, I have been working very, very closely with the Minister of Works, Senator Umahi, so that we can provide iron rods to the ministry as part of the concrete road revolution of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There are so many roads that are being constructed across the country, about 30,000 kilometers of roads across the 6 geopolitical zones. So part of what we are doing is that we understand that the Ministry of Works needs about 7 million metric tons of iron rods over that 4-year period to construct these 30,000 kilometers of roads. Ajokuta can produce 400,000 tons, which is a drop in the ocean of what is required. But because it's an important asset, the President is keen on us getting Ajokuta to work and being able to produce some of these iron rods that is required by the federal government. So this 35 billion naira that we are raising will help us resuscitate the light steel mill and help us to produce up to 50,000 metric tons of iron rods. Like I said, we're in the final stages of raising the financing. The local financial institution has given us a final offer, which I have done a cover letter and forwarded the relevant documents to the Minister of Finance to be able to take the financing on behalf of the federal government using promissory notes that will be discounted and provided for Ajokuta to be able to get back on track in terms of the iron rod production. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we've done in that regard is we have had advanced discussions with the Ministry of Defense. So I have engaged on several occasions with the Minister of State for Defense, Governor Metawale, who is in charge of DICON. I've also engaged with Alhaji Badaru, the Minister of Defense, to work on using one of the engineering workshops or engineering plants in Ajokuta to be able to produce military hardwares for usage by the Nigerian military to enhance our security situation. So what is required is we have a methodological development center that has the ability to provide us with the lead and zinc that is required to be able to provide and produce some of these military hardwares, whether it's vests or helmets or bullets or components for tanks, so on and so forth. The MOU has been prepared. The MOU is on my desk currently. I'm reviewing it. Part of what we're trying to tidy up in terms of dotting the I's and crossing the T's is to ensure that we're able to secure the required financing. We want to pursue a private sector route to raise the financing to be able to revive that plant. But we also want some push and some contributions by the federal government as well. So that's the second thing that we're doing regarding the first mandate. The third thing that we're doing regarding getting Ajokuta and Nyomko back on track is we have started having discussions regarding reviving the power plant. Ajokuta has a 110 megawatt power plant that can produce power not just, or that can supply power not just to Ajokuta Steel Complex, but also to the national grid to improve power supply. Because of the lack of funding and lack of resources that are available, part of what we are doing is we're trying to think outside the box and be innovative. So we're engaging in a PPP partnership where the asset will be used as the collateral, so to say, and the private sector investor can come in and give us financing and provide financing to be the power plant back on track. We're talking to 3 potential suitors right now, including Transcorp Power, including Niger Delta Power Holding Company, and the third is Reticulated Global Engineering. Those are the companies that we're talking to ensure that the power plant is back on track. The fourth thing regarding Ajokuta and Nyomko is, which is extremely important, in fact it should be number 1, which is we have initiated discussions with the OEM, the original equipment manufacturers, the original builders of the steel plant, to come back and complete the job, right? To revive Ajokuta, we need about $2 billion based on estimates from experts. And the Russian builders that came originally to build the plant have shown willingness and desire to help us to complete the plant and to bring in the funding using a structure that will be acceptable and will be in the best interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, although we are talking to the Russian TPE company, we have a lot of reserve bidders and other parties that have also shown interest, including the Chinese, including some of the Arab companies, the Indian companies, and even Nigerian companies. The consortium that the Russian company is leading also includes Nigerian companies as well, or a Nigerian entity. So we're factoring in local capacity in the entire conversation. So that's a very, very important component which we're trying to resolve. The fifth thing that we're doing regarding the first mandate from Mr. President is we are also putting measures in place and looking at creating an industrial park in Ajokuta territory. There's a steel territory that occupies about 24,000 hectares of land, which is almost as big as the size of Abuja. Now, of that 24,000 hectares of land that is available, 800 hectares, the steel plant is built on 800 hectares. So there's over 23,000 hectares of land that is available. The idea is to create an industrial park where all steel operators, not just in Nigeria, but in West Africa, ultimately will coalesce and produce, a steel component. So that will be the industrial hub of Nigeria, hopefully. So that's the desire in terms of addressing the first component of what Mr. President has desired for us to do in the steel industry. Now, the last component that I will talk about is what is left for us to do, which is very much and closely related to Mr. President's second mandate to us, which is the revival of the entire steel industry. How do we achieve this? It's a very, very critical component of the steel jigsaw. What we're doing to revive the steel industry is, number 1, we have drafted an internal document that gives us a 10-year roadmap for the steel industry. We have also drafted an internal document that has produced a 3-year roadmap for the revival of Ajokuta Steel as well as Nyonko. So we have those 2 documents that have been produced by internal experts. However, we need to take it a step further. We need to consult and work with all the industry stakeholders. We have to be able to do testings. We have to be able to bring in consultants. We have to be able to bring in consultants to look at, similar steel markets that are similar to what we are doing in Nigeria or what exists in Nigeria. So we have to be able to look at, the Indian market, the Egyptian market. We have to look at, even some European markets, including Russia and maybe the US, to be able to decide and determine how best for us to revive the steel industry. That will require some funding. We need somewhere between $2 to $5 million or up to $5 million to be able to draft the roadmap and put all the legworks in place. We're currently in the process of raising financing. So as you can see, we have a lot of initiatives, but financing is somewhat of a challenge. But we're not complaining. We're working hard and we're thinking outside the box to put those measures in place. The second thing is we have engaged with a Chinese steel producer, Luan Steel, as well as Mr. President has engaged an Indian steel company.
Capacity to do so. Our problem hasn't been capacity. Our problem has been, so many other, factors which I don't want to bore you today. But one of them is the difficulty in evacuation. Our pipelines, some of them as old as 50 years, some of them as old as the industry, which started in 1956 in Bayelsa. And so, the lifespan of the pipelines have already expired. And so when a young man goes to those pipelines and he just touches the pipelines, they are busted. And so even if you produce, you have the challenge of evacuation. And that is why most of the flow stations are shut down because of evacuation difficulties. But we are addressing those problems. And that is why we are confidently saying that the issue has nothing to do with capacity, but the issue is basically technical, and which we are addressing. And by the time we address them, within the shortest possible time, we'll increase production, to 2 million to 3 million. Let me also say, as part of, our achievement, is that when we got into the ministry, one of the biggest problems we faced was lack of investment in the last 12 years. Recall that recently, the global CEO of Total made a statement in Kigali, in Rwanda. And he said, Nigeria hasn't seen investment for 12 years, which is true. But we are already changing the narrative. I was in a meeting with him on Saturday with Mr. President, and all the issues he raised are already addressed. Also to tell you that Total has also shown significant interest in the new bid rounds that have been announced. President approved a new bid round, which we launched in Houston sometime this month, and Total is already expressing significant interest in some of those blocks. So also to other IOCs, which means that the IOCs, we've been able to, rekindle the confidence of the investing community, and they are coming back. Even this morning, I was playing host to the global CEO of Schlumberger. Schlumberger is the highest, is the biggest oil and gas service provider in the world. Schlumberger, among other companies like the Halliburtons, left Nigeria. Why did they leave? Because the policies were not favorable. They left because some people who were implementing the Local Content Act misunderstood the local content to be substitution of the IOCs. That wasn't the intent. I was in the Senate when we passed that law. The law was to build local capacity to play at their own level. As of today, no local drilling company can go to deep offshore to drill. It's still the exclusive, it's still within the exclusive capacity of the big oil servicing companies to go to deep offshore, where bulk of our production is coming from. It's important to note that over 80% of what is produced locally is produced by the IOCs. And the IOCs themselves have pledged that they are not leaving Nigeria, but they are trying to leave onshore and shallow waters to go to deep offshore, which is beyond our own capacity at the moment. So the point is that we have been able to rekindle the confidence, we have restored the confidence of the investing community in the oil and gas sector. And that is why Halliburton's global COE was here. And that was why the Total global CEO was here last Saturday. And I've met with the global CEOs of Shell, ENI. As I speak now, the team of ENI is still waiting for me in my office. All these are to show that the policies of this government are working. We are already bringing back the investors because they now have confidence in this present administration. So we've done what a government is expected to do to attract investment. Somebody was asking me that Total announced $6 billion of proposed investment in Angola. I'm also very, very, happy to announce to you that we have a company that I don't want to tell you now, but there's a company that in the next few weeks will announce a $10 billion investment in deep offshore. And they are in town waiting for me. These were companies that left Nigeria because they believed that there were inconsistent policies. The atmosphere wasn't favorable. But following this administration's policies of deliberately creating the best environment that are competitive globally, they are all coming back. There's also another company that will invest about $5 billion. And these are not stories. But I don't want to preempt the announcement, so I let it be that we announce it so that Nigerians will know that Angola cannot be compared to Nigeria. In Africa, Nigeria is the leading oil and gas producer, and we are still dominating that position. Our target in this 2024, having worked very hard to create an enabling environment, is to ensure that we have minimum of $20 billion in investment this year. The only way you can sustain increase in production and generate money that government needs to finance our economic problems, our economic programs, is the oil and gas sector. The quickest way to our economic prosperity is the oil and gas sector. Every country that has oil prioritizes investment in oil. And Nigeria can never be an exception. So what we are doing is to see how we can create that investing opportunity for companies to come and invest. The way the oil and gas sector works is this. If you have an oil block and you do not sustain your drilling program, it's just like somebody who has dug a well, had to keep fishing, the thing will keep going down. This morning I was with a company, and that company alone is saying that they are happy that Slumbiche is back to town, and they have a drilling program of drilling 100 wells. You know what that means? That will be another major investment that will attract billions of dollars. You know, the Minister of Petroleum is not a ministry where you execute projects. Ours is to create the environment so that investors in the oil and gas sector can continue to invest in the sector. Nigeria still has the highest reserves in Africa. But the reason why we are not seeing the benefits of these huge reserves is because in the last 12 years, Nigeria's capital investment to reserve was the lowest in the world. We are only 5%. Angola had 46%. Mozambique had 97%. Guyana had 617%. You ask yourself the question, why did the companies in Nigeria fail to invest in the last 12 years? The reason is simple. The PIA took longer than ever to be passed. And nobody wants to invest billions of dollars in any climb where there's uncertainty. Now we have told them that the PIA is now passed. We have a stable governance structure. We have the best fiscals. And the president has signed executive orders. We have the best fiscal terms that are globally competitive. And we are saying that you have a long history with Nigeria. So come back to Nigeria and invest. And that is why those who want to invest the $10 billion is an old IOC. Those who want to invest the $5 billion is an old IOC. There are also other smaller companies that are coming in. One is in fact proposing to invest $1.6 billion. And I brought NNPC together with them. That is the mandate of the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Our own target is that by the end of the year, we'll have increased production through our sustained investment campaign to at least 2 million to 2.5 million barrels. So that OPEC will be forced to beg us and say, look, slow down. Instead of me going to beg OPEC to, to sustain our meager, OPEC quota. Last year, I practically was begging OPEC. I had to travel to the president of OPEC, who was minister in Equatorial Guinea. I had to go to Saudi ahead just to lobby, because if they wanted to follow what the previous government had agreed, our quota would have been 1.2 million barrels. But I'm happy that at least we are meeting our OPEC quota and we are making all the decisions we need to make to ensure that we surpass this OPEC, quota. I will not bore you, with too many other issues, but let me also, say that one of the reasons why the investing community is coming back is because, as a policy, we decided to eliminate all the bottlenecks. The bureaucracy in the system has been completely eliminated. You will agree with me that some companies will apply to renew licenses, and it will take 1 year to renew a license. Because somebody has to know somebody who knows the minister. But since I came, all that has been eliminated. You don't need to know me before I sign the extension. And I've also told the world that you don't also need to know me before I cancel your own. We must set uniform standards. Just like I don't expect you to come to my office for me to sign your license. If you do not perform according to the terms of your license, we also cancel it. Let us give it to those who have proven capacity, both technical and financially, to explore these oil wells. The biggest challenge we have is that we have thousands of idle oil wells that are not exploited. I give one example. There is one oil block between Rivers and then Akwa Ibom. That oil block has 117 oil wells, but only 10 are producing. The rest are just shutting. Why? No explanation. They're in the hands of somebody who may not have capacity to be able to explore. It's just like you have a tenant in a house. You must get a court order before you eject him. We cannot forcefully go in and put new people. So what we have done is to put framework in place to say, look, the PIA gives us authority to say, if you are given license, you have conditions attached to it. If you are not meeting those conditions, we can farm them out and give it to people who have the capacity to be able to produce them. Unless you bring out the crude oil deposit in the soil, there's the economic value. And the good news is that from the projections we have, oil price will still be stable in the next 4 or 5 years. It will hover between $80 to $90. This is the best time. Nigeria didn't make money when every other country made money. Following the Ukraine-Russia war, oil price came up. Every country, Aramco declared over $200 billion in profit. Only Nigeria didn't make money. What we are doing is to rewrite the story. Let us maximize our production, which we are doing, and ensure that Nigerians benefit from these God-given resources that we have. As I said earlier, today I was with the global CEO of Slumbiche. We are bringing back all the service companies. I'm in touch with all of them. Because the IOCs will complain that, look, if they want to go deep offshore, unless these big boys are there, they cannot do it. Unless they come back, there will also be no competition, which means the price will be higher. And the higher the prices, the more we pay as Nigerian government. Because all these blocks you see, Nigeria holds between 60 to 70%. And so whatever cost that is attached to production, we pay majority of it. And so they are all coming back. Also in the downstream, I also want to assure Nigerians that in the downstream too, we are doing whatever is practically possible. The previous government started the rehabilitation of the refineries. And NNPC is the one that is rehabilitating them, not the Minister of Petroleum. I want to make it very clear. So that you do not blame me. Don't hold me responsible. I'm not the one who awarded those contracts. Those contracts are awarded by NNPC. But I've been to the refineries and I see work going on. And very soon I believe that those refineries will be rehabilitated. We have also given licenses for modular refineries. And some of them are already started producing. And these people don't know me, I don't know them. Some of them have seen me on the road and they say, look, you approved my license without knowing me. And I said, yes, very good, go and work. If you don't work, we'll cancel it without knowing you. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that one of the biggest achievements in the Ministry of Petroleum is sustaining the peace in the Niger Delta region. Without sustainability of that peace, the oil and gas companies cannot operate. I'll give you an example. When I was minister in the Ministry of Agriculture in 2015, some of you may be aware of these Avengers. Avengers came and then, caused some havoc. And production came down to below 1 million barrels. And so Nigeria went into a recession. What did we do? We had to engage stakeholders in the Niger Delta to give peace a chance. And production went up to 2 million barrels. So without peace, all the policies we're talking about, all the efforts we're making will be a mirage. And so one of the biggest achievements is engaging the relevant stakeholders in the Niger Delta region to sustain the peace so that oil and gas companies can return and invest so that we can generate the money for the benefit of Nigerians. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity. If there are specific questions, I want to be very willing to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister of Petroleum Resources, Oil, Dr. Distinguished Senator Lopobiri. Thank you. We had earlier mentioned about adjustment for question time, but I think it was appropriate for us to take these questions now, and we'll take that of youth development, steel, and then the petroleum resources before we introduce our next speaker. But before then, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Henry Alake, the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals. Please, can we put our hands together for him? Well, thank you very much for... No, I'll call you later. So we are going to have virtually the three topics that have been discussed, or the three ministries that have come to speak to us. Questions for youth development, steel, and petroleum resources. Okay, we have one person here. Let's start with youth development. Okay. The first person here.
Thank you, Honorable Ministers, colleagues. I have two questions, and then one is for the Minister of Steel. Then the second question is for the Minister of Petroleum. So, Minister of Steel, you are giving us a very ambitious program. Fortunately, I've been to Ajokuta. I've written stories on Ajokuta. I've also interviewed the last minister on the Ajokuta issue. Unfortunately, all the projections he made, we didn't see them materializing. You told us that Ajokuta is 98% completed. We also know that it was built by a Russian company. From the recovery plan you have told us, Nigeria still appears to be leveraging on foreign assistance. We've done that on Russia, we've done that on Indians. They all duped us. Russia built it, they duped us because we gathered that we withheld the critical 5% component that was supposed to make Ajaokuta work. So what is the guarantee now that you are going back to the same Russians to come and revive Ajaokuta? What's the guarantee that they will do it? What is the guarantee they will give us the remaining 2%? Then you are mentioning Chinese, Indians, Russians. Why can't you look for Nigerian content to see whether our indigenous engineers can get Ajaokuta back to work? During the Nigerian Civil War, Nigerian engineers produced steel. So we can still look for that. Then, Minister of Petroleum, my question is just one. Why is Dangote buying crude from US to be able to refine in Nigeria when we are talking about local, where to sell our crude and about local content? It suggests that if Dangote buys from US, he's going to produce and sell to us at dollar rate. And that has not solved our problem. So, you may say NNPC, but NNPC, they are supposed to be under you. And we are still having issues about having petroleum. The refineries are still not working. The filling stations, we still have queues. The prices are still fluctuating. So what can you do to have stability in that sector, sir? Thank you.
Okay, let's start from this segment. Okay, madam, you seem to be the only person there. Okay, and you, madam.
Thanks again. I am Princess Equia Jide of the Anambra Broadcasting Service. My number one question will be for the Minister of Youth. You said something about 110 billion youth capital investment, but you didn't tell us how youths will key in, because I'm sure some of my brothers want to key in, so tell us that. Then for the Minister of Petroleum, it is on record that subsidy is no more. But on the streets, we hear that we still pay subsidy. Can you clarify? Thank you.
Let's have the lady there.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. My name is Ujunwa Okonkwo. I report for Voice of Nigeria. My first question goes to the Minister of Youth. You made mention of 300,000 and 700,000 jobs for the youth. You know, the reason for insecurity much in Nigeria is because of lack of no job. No job for the youth. No job for the graduates. Intelligent graduates that graduated from universities after youth service, no job. How do you intend to do this to get down to the grassroots? Because a lot of them are there in the villages, wallowing in hunger and engaging into insecurity. The next question goes to my brother, the Honorable Minister of Steel. The partnership you talked about, I want to know how long the 2% that is left, how long this will come to be, because from the last administration, when the Russians came, we were told that they are going to complete everything that has to do with Ajaokuta Steel Complex. Till now, it has not been completed. And a lot of things has gone down the drain in that complex. Please, how long will this be? Then to my Honorable Minister for Petroleum, the petroleum oil, Senator Heneke Lobobri, you talked about calming down the Avengers in the oil producing states. Remember, you calm them down that time, and whatever they use, the government used to calm them down, as long as they are not fully engaged into doing something consistently that will give them leverage or money or whatever to take them away from coming back, they will still come back to fight. Still go down to insecurity. Please, sir, whatever we know that we do to engage our youth, our graduates, this is the root cause of insecurity in Nigeria, lack of no job. Thank you.
Okay, let's have just one person more so that we can take the questions and proceed. There's one person more so that we can have complete 3 questions.
Good morning, everybody. Please, I am from Benjamin Muteme, Blueprint Newspapers. I just want to know from the Minister of State Petroleum oil. Please, I want to know, he did talk about oil wells that are dormant. Can he be specific about the number of oil wells that are still dormant? And also, about the issue of bringing peace to the Niger Delta, I think it will be better for him to really, the minister should be able to sit down with the security agencies, because that is very fundamental in whatever they do. Because I've been there severally and I saw what went down here, and without the cooperation of the security agencies, we might still continue to shout oil theft and what have you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We would like to take responses by the Honorable Ministers of Youth Development first, and then Steel, and then we come back to Petroleum Resources. Okay.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. The question from Madam Princess, I believe. Yes, thank you very much for that question. The 110 billion naira that was approved for the 2024 fiscal year of the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund, the restructured Nigeria Youth Investment Fund. Well, how do young people key in? Well, the first phase is, like I said in my presentation earlier, that we reviewed the fund and we ascertained that the most practical way and the most impactful way to disburse the fund is first to cluster young people with the purpose of developing enterprise in priority sectors such as the blue economy, green economy, the creative sector, the digital economy, space, agriculture. So these are priority sectors of the economy, and of course the extractive, like the mining sector as well. So it's only when we cluster young people that we can leverage on economics of scale and also leverage on commodities of comparative advantage. That way, government investments will translate to greater impact. If we have, for instance, 5,000 young people clustered in a particular location. And this also speaks to how the grassroots can also be impacted by this initiative. A lot of our grassroots have vast land for agricultural initiatives, for agricultural practices rather. And at this grassroots, if we engage a number of young people, say 5,000 to 10,000 young people, lay the necessary infrastructure for them to start to cultivate, add value. There will be jobs created across value chains of commodities of comparative advantage or competitive advantage for all geopolitical zones. And this will also go a long way to curb rural-urban migration, like we said earlier, that a lot of people want to migrate from the rural areas to come to the cities, and they come to the cities and they might not even find jobs. So we are settled with the responsibility of developing and promoting enterprise for young people, to be a catalyst while you're making young people at the core, the catalyst of economic development. So this will be driven to the grassroots. This goes a long way to respond to the two questions. On that note, I hope I have done justice to your question, madams. Thank you very much.
May I at this moment invite the Honorable Minister for Steel Development, Prince Shoaib, to come and make responses to these questions.
Thank you very much. I believe I had about 3 or 4 questions, and I would attempt to answer those questions. The first gentleman raised the question around Ajokuta Steel being 98% complete. So I just wanted to provide quick perspective on that. Ajokuta Steel Complex was 98% completed in 1994, which was about 30 years ago. Now, since then, there's been a lot of false starts in terms of trying to get the plant working, trying to get the plant concession to a technical partner that has the expertise. That hasn't panned out according to plan, because some of the terms of the agreements in which it was done was not in the best interest of Nigeria. And therefore, the plant is unlikely to be 98% complete as at today, if nothing has been done over the last 30 years. Part of what we have to do is to, once we are done engaging these counterparties with all the relevant and technical expertise, they will do a technical audit that would advise us what stage of completion the plant is in and what it will take to finish up the job. In terms of why do we continue to leverage on foreign assistance, again, just to provide some perspective and some color around what is going on in the steel industry, there's about $4 billion worth of steel that is being imported into Nigeria on an annual basis. What that means is that if our local steel producers are able to meet the demand or produce the required standards and qualities, then that amount would have been significantly lower. There are a lot of local indigenous players that are doing fantastically well, but we have a long way to go, broadly speaking, in the steel industry. We still need a lot of technical expertise. Some of the equipments for the government-owned steel plants are in foreign languages. Interpretation is always going to be a challenge, and converting that to English requires some level of expertise. And why are we not looking at Nigerian companies? Like I mentioned during my presentation, based on what technical experts have adduced and what they have seen and recommended, we need a minimum of $2 billion to revive Ajokuta. I would say that the local players don't have that kind of money. It's a significant amount of money. We're talking 3 trillion naira. it's a huge amount of money. Even if you try to raise it from local banks or local financial institutions, you struggle significantly. Hence why we're partnering with foreign companies. However, the foreign companies that we're partnering with would also have some Nigeria component in them. So the guys that we're talking to, are forming a consortium with, Nigerian companies, or there's a Nigerian component in there. And then lastly, the 2% that is left for completion, how long would it take to be completed? I think Princess asked that, and I think I had answered it earlier. It was 98% complete in 1994. Today is significantly lower. A lot of work is required to get it up and running. It's a challenging industry, and the task at hand is significant and is difficult. But is it doable? The answer is yes. Has the president showed commitment? The answer is yes. And no other commitment can be bigger than the creation of the Ministry of Steel Development, to show intent and to show political will. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Steel. May I at this moment invite distinguished Senator Lopobri to respond to questions that were just asked.
Thank you. The first question has to do with whether Dangote is importing crude from the US. Let me say categorically that I'm not aware that Dangote has started importing crude from the US. What I do know is that if we do not have crude enough to supply Dangote refinery and the refineries we're rehabilitating together with the modular refinery, they have to get feedstock from somewhere. That is inevitable. But as at today, I'm not aware that Dangote is importing crude from the US. And that's the reason why we're talking about increasing production. And that's why we're bringing back the service companies to come back and start drilling. That's why I'm also telling you that, look, today or yesterday, a company told me of a drilling program of over 100 wells. The only way we can increase production is to continue, drilling. And in the past 12 years, that didn't happen. But it has started happening in significant numbers under this administration. So I can assure you that there will be no basis for anybody to import crude, because we'll be able to supply the feedstock for all the refineries that are located in Nigeria. If we see queues in fuel filling stations, that doesn't mean there's any scarcity. Fuel is cheaper in the NNPC filling stations. So when you are driving and you see queues in some filling stations, it's not as if there's any scarcity. But the price between, what PMS is sold in the NNPC filling stations and the ones owned by IPMA members is made between the neighborhood of 60 to 80 naira per liter. And so some people may prefer to go and queue under the NNPC filling stations to buy at a cheaper rate. That doesn't mean there's any fuel scarcity. This is the one government that has been able to ensure that there is sustainability in the supply chain, particularly, for PMS. You can recall that before now, it was a perennial problem. Every year, you will see during the festive period in December, there will always be queues. But journalists are asked to go and investigate. Last year, there were no queues in this country for the first time. That happened not by accident, but it was because of deliberate effort made by this government to ensure that there is product affordability and availability. That is in respect of that. On the issue of whether there is subsidy or not, I think that all of us in Nigeria know that from the very first day the president took out of office, he said subsidy is gone. And I can confirm to you today that subsidy is gone. But the point must be made that, look, all over the world, government finds a way to subsidize, maybe not fuel, but agro products. Are we not subsidizing food? We are finding a way to subsidize seed supply. We are finding a way to subsidize, fertilizer supply. There is some way. There's no responsible government that will not find, one way or another to be able to, ameliorate the sufferings of our people. But officially, there's no subsidy. Government is not paying subsidy. So please, I want that officially clear that there's no subsidy, in the country as of today. Somebody talked about, peace in the Niger Delta. Peace in the Niger Delta is as a result of collaboration between the security agencies and those of us in the ministry and other stakeholders, including the industry players. All of us are on one accord, working tirelessly to ensure that we work together to ensure that we sustain the peace for the oil and gas companies to operate in the Niger Delta region. Somebody asked a question about the number of oil wells. There are thousands of oil wells. I cannot stand here and tell you how many thousands of oil wells are shutting. But the problem we have is that bulk of our oil wells are not producing. And what we are doing is to ensure that we bring them back to production so that we can increase the number of barrels that we can produce per day. I hope I've been able to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Before you make your gentlemen of the press, let me once again thank you for your patience. And I had mentioned earlier on that this is going to be a bumper edition. I know that you have to make choices about which news to lead with today or tomorrow. But I crave your indulgence to be a little bit more patient. We have the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals here. He's going to be the next one. And then we have the Minister of Defense, the Minister and the Minister of State Defense together with the Chief of Defense Staff already in the waiting room. So they'll also come here. But I assure you that once they come, in another 1 hour or so, we should be done for the day. So I crave your indulgence to please be a little bit more patient. We have chosen not to go on break, but to continue, and we'll soon be done. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Very distinguished guests, members of the media. Members of the media, permit me at this time to invite to the microphone for his presentation the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Henry Dele Alake. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes to the podium for his presentation. Just a reminder that the presentation is for 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the media. My colleague ministers, the director generals, directors, top management staff of our ministries, and my colleagues in the journalism profession. Actually, it gives me very great pleasure to be here with you and to make this presentation on the first anniversary of this administration. As you are all aware, since 1960 until August last year, or let me say symbolically May 29th last year, since 1960 Nigeria had operated a monocultural economy, which means Nigeria had solely depended on oil, wealth or revenue accruing from the oil sector. And what did that do to us as a society, as a nation? In my own considered estimation, Nigeria over the decades failed woefully to efficiently utilize the revenue that accrued to us from the oil sector. And how did we fail to utilize that? We failed to utilize the humongous amount of petrodollars that came into the coffers of this country. We did not utilize this money to sufficiently
create a very solid structural economy in other sectors. And one of the most critical sectors that we failed to address over the decades is the solid mineral sector and agriculture as well. In other climes, the monies that they derived from oil, the monies were used to develop other critical sectors of the economy, such that as revenue flowed in from oil, revenues were also flowing in from these other critical sectors. But our story was not like that. However, as we say in our own climb, the past is history. The future is a golden era that we are foretelling. So therefore, since May 29th last year, on the resumption of our president, there has been a major plank of the renewed hope agenda, which is contingent on the diversification of the economy away from oil. And in any case, the reasons are not far-fetched, because the whole world is moving away anyway, gradually from oil, because I'm sure you all know what is called global warming. Global warming is caused by the energy sources that we use in the world, of which oil, petroleum, is a critical element. Now, all of these energy sources are being gradually de-emphasized, so that the world is moving towards green energy. And what are these energy sources for green energy? They are critical metals, minerals, solid minerals. And Nigeria is so blessed to have an abundance of these solid minerals underground in our country. And that is why the president made the diversification of the economy a critical plank of his renewed hope agenda. And then in August, we came in as a cabinet, and I was assigned the responsibility of ensuring the diversification of the Nigerian economy into the critical metal sector. So therefore, it is my pleasure today to present to you the modest but impactful achievements that the Renewed Hope Manifesto of the President and our party, APC, recorded in the solid mineral sector, which I superintend over as the minister. Now, first of all, I need to reel out to you the role and mandate of the ministry as given by the office of the president. Number one is to ensure the orderly and sustainable development of Nigeria's mineral resources, develop the mineral sector to contribute to industrialization in Nigeria, to create an enabling environment for private investment, both foreign and local, by providing adequate infrastructure for mining activities, and identify areas where government intervention is desirable in achieving government policy goals and proper perspective in mineral resources development. And number four is to accelerate the development of technical and professional manpower required in this sector. We were also mandated to generate revenue for government through collection of royalties, fees, taxes, and various obligations. We provide information and knowledge for enhancing investments in the sector, working with security institutions to ensure safety and security in the sector through strict monitoring of movement and usage of explosives. In operationalizing the manifesto, the president identified 8 key areas. And these areas were issued by the office of the SGF. With its vision on the diversification of the economy, as a guiding principle, our ministry was identified as a critical machinery for achieving priority in this very, very important sector. We are to unlock the energy and natural resources of this country for sustainable development. Now, given the aforementioned, on assumption of duty, I assembled my team, and after receiving briefings from all departments, all agencies, and having an overview, I came up, my team and I rolled out a 7-point agenda, which will help us in actualizing the mandate of the Renewed Hope agenda as it concerns the solid mineral sector. The appointment, or my appointment, provided a historic opportunity to participate in the strategic conversations on how best and how far our new administration could redeem the promises of renewed hope that the Nigerian people voted for. If you recall, after the swearing in of Mr. President last year, May 29th, a few days later in June, I was appointed the Special Advisor on Special Duties, Communications and Strategy. And it was during this period that we held very critical conversations amongst the very powerful policy makers in the country, in the administration, and fashioned out the various manifestos for each ministry, and then decided and designed the structure of government as we have today. And that was what led to my assuming the saddle of leadership in the ministry. It was therefore in this that it became very clear to us that in unlocking the wealth underground, we had, or the president rather, had to look critically at the choices of people to give this responsibility. The person to assume office had to have certain criteria: character, integrity, credibility, and the passion and the sense of mission that is necessary. So, in rolling out my 7-point agenda, one on the list is the establishment of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Company. You can call it a corporation or a company, but it's Nigerian Solid Minerals Company. Now, this company is to engage in joint venture partnerships with the big players in the solid minerals sector on behalf of Nigeria. We had something like that years back, but it went defunct. So we are revitalizing that instrument because it is very, very important. I will go into the details of that later. The second item on the agenda is gathering of big data. Now, without the gathering of data, geoscientific data in the solid mineral sector, you cannot talk of attracting investment, whether local or foreign investment. Because any investor wants an efficient data, and the data is information about the type of minerals, the volume of minerals, where they are, the tenure or the longevity of the minerals. These are critical information that any investor anywhere in the world requires to make an informed judgment, investment decisions. So, gathering of the big data now forms a critical item on our 7-point agenda. Another one is to promote international investment, and another one which I mentioned earlier is the joint venture partnerships with mining multinationals. And then, of course, the fifth, securing the investment environment with mine surveillance police, and of course, injection of large dosage of technology. And sixth, formalization of artisanal miners into cooperatives. And 7, the socio-economic development of the mining communities. And this I will go to later. It has been a recurring decimal in the architecture of insecurity in the solid mineral sector. So combating illegal operations, illegal mining, banditry, terrorism, kidnapping, and all sorts of nefarious activities associated with the sector became a sine qua non for the success and development of this sector. I'll go into the details. Number one, the establishment of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Company. Our ministry initiated the necessary legislative framework for the establishment of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Development Company through the proposal seeking budgetary provision for approval in the 2024 budget. The ministry is grateful, therefore, to the committees on solid minerals, both in the House of Reps and in the Senate, for their unalloyed support in ensuring that our legislative framework is fast-tracked. In February this year, the House Committee on Solid Minerals organized a policy dialogue on the draft bill to set up this minerals company. This 3-day robust discourse shed more light on the vision and mission of the NMCDC as a private sector-driven corporation that will be structured to have not more than 25% of government, federal government shares, 25% to the Nigerian public, and 50% to the private sector. Now, this is very significant. This company we are proposing for this sector is ostensibly or superficially to look like NNPC, because NNPC is intervening on behalf of the government. So this proposed company is to intervene in the solid mineral sector on behalf of the Nigerian government. However, that's where the similarity ends. The structure, the equity structure of our own proposed company is vastly different. Our equity structure is to make it substantially owned and driven by the private sector, so that we can leave an enduring structure in place, an enduring legacy for future governments coming after us, such that no government after us will be able to exert any political influence in terms of the managerial efficiency and proficiency of running that company. And that is why we are ensuring that 50% of equity will go to the private sector, 25% to the federal government of Nigeria, and 25% to members of the public, anybody who desires to own shares. Now, this company, as I speak here, is in the process of maturity, and in due course, I will have the honor and privilege of announcing to you that that company has been fully established and is on stream. We have a mining cadastral office, which is really in charge of licensing of applications in the mining sector. Now, the MCO, we call it the MCO, is mandated to administer the issuance of mining license. And it has been repositioned in the last 12 months since we came in to increase its revenue generation capacity. The EMC Plus application portal, or a software, has been modified to cope with the new challenges. The modifications include completion of recording and archiving mineral title documents, completion of acquisition, geomining, referencing, cadastral centers, and so many. Time will not permit me to reel out the so many initiatives that we have put in place in the licensing of applications to make it easier for applicants, and of course to enhance the ease of doing business in the sector. Only a week ago, I unveiled the DSS, the decision support platform of the ministry, which means from anywhere in the world, not in Nigeria, anywhere on the planet, you can, at a click of a button on your device, see all the information that you require to help you or enable you make investment decision in Nigeria's solid mineral sector. That support system was unveiled last week by me. The efforts to sanitize the operations led to 2 revocation exercises, because one of the critical items on the agenda is to sanitize the operating environment of the solid mineral sector in Nigeria. And towards this end, we discovered on assumption of office that we had a number of people, Nigerians or non-Nigerians, holding titles and failed to remit the normal civic obligations to government, like paying their royalties, paying their taxes, paying their fees, even renewal fees, annual renewal fees, that are as little as 200,000 naira, whereas these people were making away with billions from the Nigerian economy. So that led me into revoking 1,619 licenses by November last year, to send a strong signal that there is a new sheriff in town. It can no longer be business as usual. We are sanitizing the operating environment of the solid mineral sector to enable it assume its pride of place in contributing significantly to the GDP of this country. So we weeded off over 1,600 licenses of operators who failed to meet their obligations to government. Again, just about a few weeks ago, I also had cause to revoke another set of over 900 licenses that had been dormant. Some people applied and got approval for licenses and kept the licenses. Some speculated with the licenses, took money from financial institutions, did not go into the operations of the mining, but used the monies for other things. So I revoked over 900 of such a few weeks ago. These were efforts to sanitize the operating environment of the sector. And believe me, since we did that, more serious investors are coming into the sector, both local and foreign. And at the last count, we had about almost 10,000 applications since we assumed office, fresh applications. And we've approved over 4,000 of such, which means there is a quantum leap in the investment that is coming into the sector, invariably generating more revenue into the coffers of the Nigerian government. I'm told that time is up, but I have a legion of statistics and data to reel out to you, to show you in concrete terms, in empirical formula or format, that there has been a remarkable increase and success of our efforts in all ramifications. One, we have succeeded in opening up this sector, both locally and internationally, that even we raise the consciousness of the average Nigerian to the economic potentialities of the solid mineral sector. Today, unlike a year ago, I receive, and most of my staff receives, video clips from members of the Nigerian public telling us that there is a truck carrying minerals from one location to the other. This is a testimony to the consciousness of Nigerians, which was not there a year ago, because of our aggressive marketing, and riveting attention, national and international, onto this sector. Now, again, our marketing of our 7-point agenda internationally has started to resonate. In Riyadh, early this year, I went there with my team to the Future Minerals Conference and presented Nigeria's 7-point agenda for sustainable development in the solid mineral sector. And one of the very significant items of that paper I presented is the issue of local value addition. I made a passionate case there that no more will we allow anybody to cut away our raw minerals out of Nigeria without processing, without refining, without local value addition, without multiplier effect to the economy. And when I presented that in Riyadh, all the African ministers of minerals there became so excited and therefore formed the African Mineral Strategy Group and immediately elected me, Nigeria, as the interim chairman or pro tem chairman of that body. So that shows you the proficiency and efficacy of our policy initiatives in opening up the sector, such that it's no longer even restricted to the confines of Nigeria, but is resonating all over Africa. And today, as the chairman of the African Mineral Strategy Group, all our plans and programs are being replicated in other African countries. Lately, in South Africa, in Cape Town, I was at the Indaba conference, mining conference. You know, South Africa is a long mining country, and they deal with mining almost over a century before us. However, given the efficacy of our own plans, the president of South Africa said it on stage that they were copying the Community Development Agreement of Nigeria, and they were copying it in South Africa. And this is something that we reeled out and redirected and reviewed and unveiled just about 2-3 months ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things I need to tell you, but I'm being prompted to go and sit down. So I will wait for your question and answers to elucidate further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. While the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals was making his presentation, the Minister of Defense, Honorable Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, CEO MNI, stepped into the building. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for coming. Also, we had the Minister of State Defense, Honorable Bello Matawale, coming to the hall. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for joining us. We have the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa, in the house. Please, a round of applause for him. And we have the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Defense, Dr. Abubakar Ibrahim Kana, MNI. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for coming. With that being said, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate you for your time so far. Next up is the Honorable Minister of Defense to give us his presentation. Please put your hands together for Honorable Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, CON MNI. Please, a round of applause for the Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much. I thought we will have enough time, but because of the 20 minutes, 30 minutes limit, I will just go straight to the issues. First and foremost, for every security operation to be successful, there must be collaboration and jointness. That is what we lacked before. But the renewed hope agenda brought all the security agencies and agencies that have to do with security together and create synergy among the security agencies. And that helped greatly in the operations that we do. The Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, and the Chief of Air Staff are working together day and night as against what used to be. And that was hampering productivity and efficiency in operation. This was achieved in a very short time. But we really have to thank the President for his choice of the officers manning security agencies in the country. In addition to the military, we have close collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor, the police, the civil defense, and all other military, paramilitary, and security enhancing agencies. This has translated to tremendous progress during this last 1 year in view. You will all agree with me. Those from Borno, they have enjoyed their Salah, the last Salah, freely. Those in Zamfara, most part, are calm when compared to the previous issues that are there. And in this time, because of the synergy, we were able to neutralize more than 9,300 bandits and insurgents. About 7,000 arrested when we rescued 4,641 victims of kidnapping. That is in just 1 year. We have also arrested 4,882 assorted weapons and 83,900 assorted ammunition just in 1 year. And among those that we neutralize are bandits that we hear, are bandits commanders that command hundreds of foot soldiers. The names like Ali Kawaji, you all know him, has been neutralized. Notorious Damina has been neutralized. Isiaku Bateri, neutralized. Bello Dangote, Osani Dangote, neutralized. And post a lot of others. We have neutralized no less than 20 commanders that command armies of insurgents and terrorists just in 1 year. And again, in our effort to improve the production of crude oil, which I'm sure the Minister of State Petroleum has explained the increase that we have in the production of crude oil. We were able to arrest 1,437, 363 neutralized, and we have freed in the Niger Delta 245 captives, those that are hostages. We destroyed 3,051 dog feet for illegal crude production. We destroyed 1,276 boats, 3,924 storage facilities, arrested and destroyed 408 vehicles, and 2,716 cooking ovens. So most of the illegal refineries are down now. And in addition, major vessels have been arrested. Vessels like Sweet Harbor Spirit, MT Senel, MB Quito, and many others. And this has helped greatly to improve our crude oil production. And this is because of the synergy that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu enjoined us to work together to deliver and end insecurity. And we have been also working with regional security agencies and countries around us to improve the security situation. For instance, as of today, we are conducting Operation Desert Sanity 3 and Lake Sanity 2 with the Republic of Chad, Cameroon, and some representative from the Benin Republic. And this shows how we collaborate with neighboring states to fight insurgency. And in addition, we have arrested in conjunction with those countries many terrorists and many weapons and drug traffickers. I'm sure you have seen a lot in the news. This shows the collaboration that we have between our neighboring countries as being efficient and helping us to reduce the influx of small arms and light weapons. President also supported the troops to enhance their capacity. You are all aware, because it was news then, the 2023 supplementary budgets that have seen huge allocation to the Ministry of Defense, thanks to Mr. President. That has helped us procure and upgraded a lot of our equipments. Time will not permit me to rail them out. But that has also enhanced our efficiency and has boosted the troop morales. You also are aware that the President signed the DICOM bill that help us to produce locally what we need in the fight of insurgency and criminality in this country. We have seen discussions around the production of weapons, and we are in talks with more than 50 private companies in Nigeria and abroad that are interested in producing weapons. And 13 out of them have already started production or about to start production. We know April, for example, in Lagos, they have started the assembly and production of armored carriers, safety equipments, radios, and others. Also, Proforce in Ogun are producing armor carriers, and they have invested heavily in the production of drones, and they are on the testing mode now. So many of them are doing just what the DICOM bill dictates. And I believe before the year runs out, we'll be able to launch the DICOM that will see to the production of all military and paramilitary uniforms in the country. Effort is put in place in DICOM also to synergize with universities for research and development so that we can produce much more. And still, in the period under review, our production line that has not been operating for years have started operation for this production of small caliber ammunitions. We are currently producing, and more factories for the production of arms and ammunitions are coming in the next 1 year. In the personnel welfare, because to have the spirit to fight and also keep their morale, the President has supported the armed forces with a lot of welfare packages. Their salaries and allowances are paid as and when due. They are being funded adequately to take care of the troops out there, and also to provide for their accommodation and to provide for their training. And that has helped us to boost the morale of our troops heavily. And in the period under review, we believe that security is a whole society issue. So it has to have a whole society approach. And that is translated in the Renewed Hope agenda, because all the deliverables are linked to enhancing security, taking care of people's welfare so that we reduce the incidences of insecurity. And that has been happening. So we have close collaboration with Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Humanitarian, other service agencies that provide for the welfare of the people. So that we target those areas that have suffered and see how we can help and support their livelihood. And we have been having meetings also all around the country to involve the community, to take ownership of the security, to give us information to pass intelligence, to deprive the bandits and terrorists from taking over our country. And I'm happy to say we are getting good response from the people. All these bandits and the successes that we have, most of the information come from the community. And we are doing a lot, meeting with the clergies, the traditional institution, the civil society organization, and of course, individual communities to support us so that the whole society approach in tackling security can be achieved. The road ahead, I want to assure you, we'll continue to pursue them and we'll continue to work diligently until we end this thing in no distant future. Because the instruction from Mr. President is always, when are you going to end this thing? And we keep telling him, in no distance future, we will end it. We have the equipment, we have the personnel, their morale is boosted, and the community are supporting now. And we will continue to push and target those that will repent. We take them, because even in the last year we have seen over 90, around 100,000 surrenders by Boko Haram and Islam, and we expect to see more. So those that surrender, we take them. Those that refuse to surrender, we fight them and fight them hard. One question you will ask, why are these attacks coming? Well, I think most of you that lives in the riverine areas, in the villages, and these attacks happen around local governments that have forests. These people run and hide in the forest, come out on motorcycle, attack a community, and run back. But we are deploying technology today so that we can see them coming and take care of them before they attack our people. And that is in place, and we will continue to fight, and we will continue to deliver. And I assure you, the successes that we have enjoyed in the last 1 year will be replicated, and we will do more in the next year, because even the recruitment has improved for the armed forces. So we are continuing to recruit more and more so that we will end the insecurity in this country. Both our sister agencies are recruiting: civil defense, police, then the military. And President has approved that we recruit so that we improve the boots on the ground, and also deploy technology heavily so that we can end the insurgency. What I want to assure you is that the successes we had in the last 1 year, we will do more, and we will continue to fight, and we will end this thing in no distant future. I am one to stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'll take questions from the media. For this session, we'll take 4 questions at this trench. So can we just show our hand, number 1?
We are glad that you have said that the ministry is taking this as a priority because of government's willingness and a hunger to take advantage of the mineral sector. But my worry is, we know this will cost millions of dollars. It's not something that can be done in 6 months or 1 year or one budget cycle. I want to know how the ministry intends to solve this problem, the problem of funding for the mineral mapping. Then it leads me to the second question. We know that just like in the oil and gas sector, where when you are drilling for petroleum, a lot of time crude oil comes with associated gas. And because Nigeria does not have a solid mineral mapping, we know that most of the times minerals are mined. You might be mining for lithium. There are other associated minerals that form with lithium. And without a mineral mapping, the country is left at the hands of the miners, who most of the time do not declare to the federal government that while mining for tin, they come across certain to know how the ministry intends to solve this problem, because it is the root cause of the problem that has to do with smuggling of other associated minerals outside the country. Then finally, in preventing what has happened in the Niger Delta region, the mistakes Nigeria made in oil, over the last few years, we have found out that mining companies that go to mine these solid minerals do not have a valid or authentic environmental impact assessment. Therefore, the dangers fall on the community. Just like the Pfizer case in Kano, there are reported cases of communities suffering from health challenges because of these miners. And because of that, we want to know how the ministry intends to stand up for the rights of host communities to see that they are protected from not just illegal miners, but miners that have valid licenses but do not put the health implications of communities first. Thank you very much.
Yes, hello, excuse me. Gentlemen of the press, your attention here, please. Gentlemen of the press, please pay attention here. The ushers, hello, ushers. Please stop that distribution. We will soon be done, and then you can continue your distribution of light refreshment. Actually, when the bags were coming in, people were wondering what we have in those Ghana must go bags. So I think they wanted to be as transparent as possible, but it's also creating some noise and some chaos around us. I implore you to please hold on. We'll be done after the question and answer session, and then you can distribute whatever is there in the Ghana must go bags. But I know that what we have there is light refreshment. Light refreshment, nothing more than that. Thank you very much.
Something light. Question number 2.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Ministers. My name is Dr. Emmanuel Anule. I work with AFP. I just want to find out from the Minister of Defense that following the final withdrawal of the French troop in Niger last year, December, there have been these general concerns about what a potential gap this will provide in terms of fighting insecurity within the Sahel region. I just want to find out from the Minister of Defense, is Nigeria also concerned about this, the withdrawal of these troops regarding its collaboration with sister nations around this region to tackle insecurity? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Question number 3, the lady on brown.
Good afternoon, Honorable Ministers. My name is Juliana Taiwo Balohin of the Sun newspapers. My question goes to the Minister of Defense. I would like you to help me understand how Nigeria intends to tackle climate change, environmental degradation, and at the same time, you are destroying crude oil
theft, the boat. I want you to help me understand that. What is the implication? What does it take to keep this crude? It's stolen, it's recovered. Why destroy them? Thank you.
Question number 4 there. Can we quickly move the mic? Your name, your media organization, then your question.
Honorable Ministers, my name is Adebayo Bodorin from AIT Ray Power. My question goes to the Minister of Solid Minerals. There has been reports about insecurity being fueled as a result of mining in some parts of Africa, and Nigeria is also not an exception. So I'm asking, what effort is being taken to ensure security?
You've been watching a live program from Abuja where, in commemoration of his first anniversary in office, President Bola Tinubu has directed his ministers to present their performance reports to Nigerians. The ministers speaking today include the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, Minister of Youth Development, Dr. Jamila Ibrahim, the Minister of Steel Development, Shuaibu Audu, Minister of Health, Mohammed Patey, Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badru, and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi. The briefings are meant to offer insights into the advancements and challenges within their respective ministries, providing a transparent overview of the administration's efforts and accomplishments during its first year.